Well, everybody, we're here for what might be the last movie night in a long time. Last time when we were here with Mr. R, we predicted that perhaps that would be the last movie night when we were talking about old Battle Royale. But it turns out the thing I teased at the beginning of that episode, which was this movie, Memories of Murder, even though I'm pretty sure I called it Memories of a Murderer, like 3 times last, last movie night. Sorry, I'm getting my letterbox up now, so fuck you, I'm distracted for a second. Has paid off, and here we are to talk about said movie. This is a Korean film, for those not in the know and those who didn't watch last time, by the Parasite director, Bong Joon-ho. Who knows if I'm saying that correctly? These Korean names, they're tricky sometimes. Where do we start? Where do we go? What do we do? I'm not going to tease a future movie night here just because I have no idea. Hold on. Let me move the little thingy over a little bit. Oh my god. You didn't know I could do that, did you, chat? Oh my goodness. Actually, you put your phone in your pocket. You're not even watching the screen now. You have no idea what I'm talking about. Anyway. What was I saying? We're not going to tease the next movie night's movie because who knows what the fuck it'll be. And I don't know when it'll be. Maybe I'll watch a bunch of movies and not be able to record, and then in 3 months' time we'll come back and we'll do a massive movie night recap. Who knows? I don't know. It ain't that the exciting thing. We've done our last Mushoku Tensei with the lead RE recently on his channel. I've got to record the last Chainsaw Man in a few hours, probably with the lead RE. Crazy, crazy, crazy. This will probably come out after Chainsaw Man, maybe, because I'll want to get the Chainsaw Man out. So it'll be a little flip reverse thing. I didn't want a lonely movie night to be the last thing we recorded in our car setting. So we had to... Chainsaw Man should be fun. Though I might do a stream tomorrow. Flat on Friday. It's currently Wednesday. Anywho, anyhow. Memories of a Murder. Memories of Murder. Easy for me to say. Now, I want to preface... Where do we go with this? It's another 4-star movie, chat. Can you believe that? I certainly can't. We will never see a 5-star movie again. I thought maybe this would be the one that would break our little streak here, What movie has come the closest? I guess good old Lady Vengeance, I think, has probably came the closest. Because we like that more than the first one. Lady Vengeance is cool. Those movies are really stylistically cool. This movie had some style too, obviously. Those were the only Korean movies I'd ever seen, and now I've seen this Korean movie. So it's like 4 Korean movies. I'm so cultured and intelligent and, just the best, frankly. And right now I'm going through the letterboxes of the cast to see. The main girl seemed familiar, and by main girl, she's barely in the movie. I mean, the main dude's girlfriend. And then at first I was like, she kind of looks like the daughter in Old Boy, but I don't know. And now I'm trying to corroborate this. So I gotta wait until I see a woman here. This girl. Old Boy's not on the list, and I don't even recognize this girl. Oh, I think this was the detective woman. She's also in this Secret Sunshine movie that I have heard a lot about, and that's on the playlist. So maybe we'll come back to her eventually. That's not in, and that's not him either. How far did I do? I went all the way down to... This one... No, that doesn't seem like a girl's name. That could be a girl's name. Old Boy's not on this one either. I'm a liar. I think Old Boy was 2003 too, and she seemed way older than... So maybe if this had come out like 2010, then the timelines would add up. Or maybe I'm doing a racism right now, and I'm saying Korean girls look the same. Couldn't be me, couldn't be now. Anyway, 4-star movie. I think I do have some notes for this, so I can recall those if need be. This movie was doing something, and then I found out that it wasn't doing that because of context. Now, going into this, I guess I'll go through what I was thinking and then reveal the simple bit of context that ruined the whole movie for me. Because I was thinking, I'm enjoying watching this, even though it's a long movie. I was like 4.5 stars maybe. And then the context I learned afterwards, I was like, well, this movie fucking sucks. Give it 3.5 stars. It's not Scarface bad, but it's terrible. Obviously, 3.5 stars is not terrible, but I'm being hyperbole for comedic exaggeration here. Anyway, so I'm watching this movie, right? It's an old murder mystery. I'm trying to figure out who the murderer is. You know, that's what you do in these murder mystery movies. That's very clever. We like that. I don't think we've watched a murder mystery on... I guess Gaslight was a bit of a murder mystery. But outside of that, I don't think we watched a murder mystery on movie night. Even though originally the first movie night was going to be Knives Out, and I'm pretty sure that's a fucking murder mystery, but movie night lore aside. The thing about murder mysteries is that they're fun. You know, ever watched Scooby-Doo? So I'm going through this movie, we're doing a thing. Obviously the first dude they track down is not going to be him. He's a little disabled kid. He's getting coaxed into kidnapping. A lot of immorality in the police process in this movie. You know, they're trying to get confessions out of every suspect they get and coax them into it and torturing them into confessing, etc., etc. But we basically go through 3 suspects, right? There's the disabled kid at the beginning. Then there's the second dude who is like the kind of perverted normal guy who runs away to jerk off in the woods, etc. And they all catch him in a coincidental little thingy. All 3 of them were there, crazy. And then there's the third kid, who I really liked the characterization of, who is like seems a little sociopathic. He's a little unemotional, and that means maybe it could be him. And he's pretty, and the other 2 are like ugly. So it's like, oh, well, I know you're not gonna make the ugly person the killer. That's like layer 1. We're trying to be iterative here. So obviously the pretty boy at the end, who doesn't have emotions and is kind of cool. Maybe he did it. But all the time you're like, not. But by the time we get to that third dude, I had already figured it out. Now it turned out that I hadn't figured it out. But anyway, there is a line at not at the very beginning, but like 20 minutes in, about the second detective dude from the town. So this is how it's going, chat. There's, for those of you who haven't seen the movie, there's a town. Should have explained the premise, right? Let's read the Letterboxd premise. 4.4 this movie has on Letterboxd, so the people really like this movie. The worst of them will stay with you forever. God, these top line bylines from Letterboxd, always weird. So the movie came out in 2003, but 1986, The Province, it's a Korean word that I can't say, the body of a young woman is found brutally raped and murdered. 2 months later, a series of rapes and murders commence under similar circumstances. And in a country that has never known such crimes, the dark whispers about the serial murderer grow louder. A special task force is set up in the area with 2 local detectives, name, joined by a detective from Seoul who is requested to be assigned to the case. So we got our 2 detectives from the town here. We got our main dude, and then we got our second dude, who's like his bro. He seems just less important and a little bit stupider, though they're both really stupid. That's a cool thing about this movie. Everybody in it is very stupid in almost a comedic degree, but it never undercut the seriousness of what's going on. It's just sort of like one of those people, God, they're so fallible, Lamau. Which is what I like. I'm like, yeah, that's more realistic than people being, what do you call it? Competent. Anyway. There's a line from Bro, who's the second dude, not our main character, but the second detective from the town originally, before our secondary main character comes in from out of town. And obviously him and our main detective from the town, sort of clash heads in different philosophies. One's from Seoul, one's from the country. So they clash a little bit. Seoul, the capital of North Korea, obviously. No, South Korea. I don't even know if I know what the capital of North Korea is. Anyway, maybe I do. We've already been to Seoul on movie night. Remember Apocalypse Now? Wait, they do fly into Seoul in Apocalypse Now, right? That's weird. That's nowhere near Vietnam. They probably don't. Oh my god, I did another racism. Can you believe it? 2 in this episode. Vietnam capital. Is like oh no. Hanoi? I don't know how to say that. Maybe they flew into Seoul? I can't remember. Apocalypse Now, what a funny movie. 4 stars. I have it as 4.5 stars on Letterboxd, but every time I see it with 4.5 stars, I'm like, that's a little much there, son. You're like a 4-star movie. And I think that every time I look at a Casino too. But somehow the fight to make them 4 stars, because I know I've changed both of them a few times. I'm just comfortable letting them sit for a second. Anyway, sold the capital of South Korea, chat. He's a big country bumpkin, I think, as the our lead says at some point. Anyway, the second dude from the town, originally from the town. There's a line at the beginning where they're talking about the first or maybe the second victim, because the first victim is in like the first scene, so it's like 20 minutes in and we found the second victim, I think. And there's a singular line where it's like, and it's cut off, where the first main dude says to the second main dude, like, weren't you with... And the implication seems to be like he was with the victim or something, or he was going to like ask out the victim, because they're like two bros. They're always talking about fucking each other. Well, not that, but fucking with each other. And how pretty all the victims are, and how pretty all these girls are, and just, old bro talk. And they're speculating about how when people in the big cities graduate university, they're having orgies or something. That was a scene. That was funny because that was comedically juxtaposed with the dude from out of town who was in the wheat field finding the third body, that he had somehow figured out there was actually a third victim at that stage in the film, with all like the police, like the actual police that had been called in from out of town to search it. It was very cute and very clever. These big idiots who are our main characters, who we kind of like more than the other one. Just being hopeless. It was incredible. Anywho, anyhow, what were we talking about? There's a line where it seemed to imply maybe that the second dude was the killer or something, or like there was something suspicious regarding him. I now know that this was like intentional as like a misdirect, I think. But at the time I saw it and I was like, no, I think that's just a misdirect. Or I'll note that in the back of my head. And then things kept happening. And by like... when there was like 40 minutes left in the film, I was like 100% certain that the second dude from the originally from the town was the killer. To the point where I started to like sort of mock the movie in my head for thinking that I hadn't figured it out yet. Like, he gets very mad when the suspects they have don't confess and like starts kicking them all the time. Now, all of them are kind of a little too violent, and that's part of the thing, but he did it more than the others. And he was kind of stupider than the others, especially when the last one didn't confess, like, and then he ends up getting kicked out of the interrogation room. And I thought it was him slowly spiraling out of control as he was like realizing that the other dude, the dude from out of town, was probably going to get closer to him being the killer. There's another big piece of evidence that I'm forgetting. Oh yeah, the interactions with the disabled kid who ends up killing himself by throwing himself in front, or just standing in front of the train. I don't know if he knew what he was doing. I think maybe he did. He was clearly like... what I got out of it was they show that he saw like the first or the second murder. Because earlier in the film he could recite like how she was killed, like in the process of like tying her up and raping her and killing her. And that was like suspicious, but we sort of knew that it wasn't him as he was being coaxed into a confession by our main police boys. So then it's like, oh, he must have seen it, they figure out at some point. And then they corner him and he's like, yeah, I did see it, and I did see the face of the person who actually did it. And like, he's like, and they're slowly figuring it out. And this is right after he like... oh, there's another thing. At some point, they, like, hit another dead end and they go to eat. Like, the disabled kid's parents have, like, a restaurant. They go and eat there and they apologize to him at some point. And they go back to eat there. And the dude, who I suspected was just really... I guess he was just drunk, but he was really mad. And so he like, destroys the TV they have there. He, like, throws a bottle at it because they're talking about... it was something about somebody getting sentenced. So I was like, oh, no, he's like... he thinks it's going to be him soon. I know he's lashing out and he's mad. Now, this movie has like a cultural backdrop that I don't really understand, where there's like, sometimes there's just shots of like government stuff getting blown up or something. So South Korea must have been in a weird place in 86 or something where there's a lot of like turmoil, because I think that's what they were talking about on the TV. And maybe he was just mad at that generally. So that's why he did it. But then like a fight breaks out in the thing because they're trying to like tell him to stop destroying shit and stuff. And then the disabled kid who wasn't there like pops out and like because there's like a lot of violence going on and he's a little weird, so he's like going with it, and he takes like a thing and he like stabs the dude with like a nailed piece of wood or whatever in the leg. And I was like, oh, it's because he's lashing out at the dude who he saw rape the girl. And what I read into it was that he had been caught viewing the crime, and that he had sort of been set up to take the fall, and he had been pressured or threatened into like remembering the script or whatever because the other dude was with him when he was doing like the confession in the woods. If you haven't seen this movie, this is going to be confusing as fuck. There's a lot of evidence pointing to this fella, I think. Now, I think there is like critical disproving evidence as well. Now that I've gone back, I did watch like a few reactions to it, and I saw some scenes and I was like, oh yeah, that kind of would disqualify him. Now, even after, like, his leg has to be amputated because he gets tetanus from the nail thingy. And there's a killing after that. But I was still throwing that away in my mind of, like, it was on the... Because there's, like, a scene where it's... The final kill is, like, a schoolgirl character that's been relevant to the movie who we've met a few times, and the main character's love interest. And they sort of... We see the killer stalking the main character's love interest, but then the schoolgirl walks past her, and it's like, well, first of all, a bit of a coincidence, you know. We don't like those around here. And he sort of... The killer has sort of this, like, should I kill that one or should I kill that one? And he goes for the schoolgirl. And I was thinking, oh, it's because he's only got one leg and he can overpower her better. And I think they also say that she was killed through a stabbing and not a strangulation, which I think is what all the other ones were killed by. So it was like, oh, so it was different because he wasn't as strong because he had fucking one leg. Now, I don't think you can stalk and catch somebody on one leg, so it probably wasn't him, as we would come to find out by the end of the movie, or not find out by the end of the movie. But even then, there was one other piece of evidence. Oh, he's talking about sex stuff and being weird sex stuff all movie, and maybe that comes out in him raping all the women, etc., etc. Now, a big question is, why would he keep the disabled kid alive? But he also keeps, like, his first rape victim alive, and she's just living behind the school where the schoolgirl went to, and that's sort of a tale from the whole thingy, and its whole thingy. And then maybe he doesn't want to kill his best friend's girlfriend or whatever, and he's not a complete monster or something like that, or he has empathy for him at least. That'd be weird. But yeah, I was building up that it was this dude, and then... because what a twist. It's also a bit of a cliche twist, so it's almost like the, yeah, it's like one of the dudes on our team the whole time. And the movie, and then, so I was reading into this, and then we, like, flash forward, and we don't really get a resolution, and it's, like, the main dude and his girlfriend, and they have kids now, and he's, like, out of being a detective, and he's, like, selling something or whatever, and they sort of get a happy ever after. And he like drives past the field in which they found the first body in the movie, and he like gets out to go and check like the spot, which was like underneath a drain type thing. And there's a kid in the first scene of the movie that's talking to him about it, and a kid at the end in the final scene. It's a boy and then a girl, so there's a little bit of a parallel yet opposite type thing going on. And obviously there's nobody there now. But the girl's like, oh, there was somebody else here, like, the other day who also looked under that spot and also told me they came because he tells her that he came back to, like, remember something or reminisce or something. And she's like, yeah, there was another dude who was reminiscing. And I thought she was going to say, yeah, you walk better than him, though, because he has one leg, Lamau. And he had realized, oh, my God, it was my bro from back then. Crazy. But she doesn't say anything more. It's just like, yeah, he was here, but now he's gone. And then the main dude has been doing a thing. Like, I briefly talked about how they've been doing this, like, oh, he's sort of from the country, so he has sort of old-timey fashions. Like, he likes to look into the suspect's eyes, and therein, through his own personal judgment, he will determine whether or not they're guilty or innocent, because he just knows these things. Versus the dude from Seoul is very into, like, more modern investigative methods like scientific and forensics and trying to see patterns, etc., etc. He like first notices that all the victims were wearing red and that they were all killed on rainy nights. And well, I guess he doesn't figure out that a similar song plays on the radio every time. Not a similar song, the same song. That's the female detective on the team, who's also like a secretary because this is the 80s. But yeah, So yeah, he's been doing this method every once in a while where he'll look into like the eyes of the suspect. Now it's always sort of played off as a meme because he's evidently fucking stupid. But then he basically does that to the audience into the camera. And it's like, and at first this didn't even register to me. I was like, well, what the fuck is this all about? And that's where the movie ends. So then I'm like, oh, I'm still on my, oh, it was the one-legged dude. Another piece of anti-evidence for the one-legged dude is at one point they are driving in a car together on the rainy night. And so he would have had to like, the car ride would have had to have ended, then he would have had to have run over to kill the girl. Which probably couldn't have happened. So that's another anti-piece of evidence. But I wasn't aware of these two anti-pieces of evidence. I was just thinking everything was clicking. And there was that one line from the very beginning that was a cool little subtle piece of setup. And I was like, oh, what a movie. So I'm watching this and I'm like, oh, it's like a whodunit, but we never find out directly who done it. And you got to sort of figure it out yourself. And I was like, oh, that's kind of clever. But the answer's kind of obvious. So then I tab over and I'm like, oh, memories of murder, ending explained. And then my whole world comes crumbling down. Because I learned that this was actually all based on a true story and that you're supposed to know that going in and you're supposed to know that the murders are left unsolved as of 2003 and therefore you're supposed to go in anticipating that nobody is guilty and that everything is a misdirect. And then, so this ruined everything. I was like, well, that's fucking lame. I hate, have an ending, you fucking prick. How about you have a movie instead of a shitty biopic or whatever this is? All these things people used to yell at me for liking Blonde for. I've become a hypocrite. The only saving grace of this viewing of the ending, I was just like, oh, based off a true story. Why didn't they have that at the beginning or some shit? This shit sucks. And obviously, if you're in Korea and these like the most famous murders in your country's history, you'll go in knowing all this. So it's just like a cultural context difference, where it's like, I guess it's like watching Once Upon a Time in Hollywood if you don't know about anything about the Manson things and like all the tension moments just won't make sense and the cleverness of the subversion of the ending won't make sense. If you're just not aware of something everybody you would assume is aware of. Well, no, some Korean kid, some Korean Kyle Entertainment equivalent over there who's making YouTube videos about movies, calling a movie night, who might never have heard of these Manson fucking murders, and goes into it and is like, well, what the fuck is all this about? That's what I'm doing now. So I was like, oh, I've kind of missed the point of the movie. It was kind of fucking with me. It was like, just out of reach. But the only saving grace of this like new reality in which I live in after I tab over and look this up is that the final shot is very cool because it is basically the director betting that the person who did these murders, who thinks they would get away with it, probably has some sort of celebration fetish and would like go to watch the movie about his murders and see like what the movie is about, especially if it's like this big movie, I'm assuming. And the last scene would be basically the main character looking into the audience to find the murderer. And if you were the murderer in that sense, that moment would be an incredible cinematic experience. Better hope he was following along with the motifs and paying attention. So that's a very clever and very unique thing that I don't think has ever been done in anything before. I feel like I was thinking about this like 2 hours ago and I had an example of another type of thing that, like another ending or another, it doesn't even have to be the ending, but another time something did this, where it's very specific, and it sort of highlights one person's experience at the detriment maybe of everybody else's, and how valuable that is or invaluable that is, or not valuable, might be what I'm looking for. That could be. in terms of an overall, in terms of the overall quality of a movie. So all that's pretty interesting, I guess. And it's just because when I went to that Reddit thread, and obviously some people had done the same as me, they were very convinced that the detective from out of town was the murderer the whole time. And there was like a long comment that had all the little pieces of evidence that obviously pointed to him having done it. And basically everybody's just like, no, the real dude was caught like in 2006 or some shit. And I was like, well, I don't give a fuck about this moron. But yeah. So that's a unique experience from a movie, and then a unique thing the movie tries to impart as an experience with the ending. I just needed to know these things beforehand, you know? Outside of that, that was my funny little experience in the movie. And I think on my tweet, I said something like that, where I was like, let me get the Twitter up, the all-important Nation of End Twitter that you can click the link on in the description below. I've got like 300 followers, no biggie. What did I say here? I thought it was really clever, and then I got some more context from a single Google search, and it kind of popped the balloon for me. That's what I wrote about Memories of Murder. So yeah, I thought it was clever to have a whodunit with an answer that you just don't tell directly to the audience at the end. I was like, oh, especially before like the internet is a massive thing, you'd have to go talk to your friends about it, and they would figure it out, and then you'd have to go back and watch it. I don't know, I kind of like that, where the reveal doesn't happen. So I thought that was clever, and that was like a unique idea. Turns out it was doing this entirely different unique idea that I missed. So I like it. Shit fucking movie. Anyway, I did have some other general notes. And there was, and I thought the movie was fucking with me because when it was setting up like that the love interest could be killed, because whenever a new victim is shown, they do like the same few setup shots of like, oh no, here it comes, the next murder. And obviously it's about a bunch of women you've never seen before when it's done like the other two times in the movie. But then now, oh my god, it's a character we know, so you like doing it. I'm like, dumb fucking movie expects me to fall for this. She's not in any danger. The killer has is losing a leg. He's missing a leg and he's in the hospital right now. So she's not in danger. So I was like, meh, that's not going to happen. And then and then as that scene progresses, I was like, oh, I guess we are still killing people. So that was another interesting like a moment in my viewing experience. I also have in brackets here, my viewpoint was very movie-esque, which is true. I was like thinking about it as a movie, but it's just a silly fucking real life tale, so that sucks. My second note here is there is an energy to all the dialogue and interactions, and I have dash stupid, which I kind of already talked about, but watching the main dude be a terrible person is incredibly fun. It is a power fantasy, as the kids say. He's just constantly like going off, and he's mad at everything, and he's over here yelling at this idiot. He's like, get these kids out of the crime scene, and don't touch anything till forensics gets here. And this fucking idiot just fell down the hill. What a moron. And these are like these long shots, and they're very impressive. And the dialogue, it's like the type of dialogue I really like. Even though it's in Korean, and I have to like pause to read the subtitles, because there's like 3 things going on, and I'm trying to figure out what they're referring to, because I'm slow like that. It's very fun. And there's also an energy, a comedic energy to all the interactions. It does feel like a very modern way of doing sort of film dialogue, but not in like a Marvel sense, but in like a... How do you even describe movies that aren't Marvel but aren't art films? Like, good movies? Like in... It's not Tarantino-esque, but like in a movie that isn't a Marvel movie or a blockbuster, but that's trying to be clever. Like, it's the way they usually do dialogue, more modern, in a more modern sense. So I don't know if this director was that influential before Parasite, but it seems like maybe this is just in the new wave of doing dialogue like that, or if this movie hysterically inspired a lot of things to do dialogue the way it does them. I guess the only example that just jumped into my head about similar types of things is like the J. Jonah Jameson scenes in like the Sam Raimi Spider-Man stuff, where like things are happening super quick, and it's like, give me the fucking picture, and this is the headline, and you said what, and then get out of here and do this, and it's just very quick and snappy, but there's actually stuff going on, and there's like visual comedy elements to it. It's very clever, and even they are sort of slapsticky. Which is very similar with this movie, and it continues when the Soul dude shows up, and sort of they have their clashes, and even then they have like an incompetent police director that has to resign, who's like very kind of stupid. And then the new one shows up, and it's not like he's a bastion of rationality. He's a lot better, but he's like, if I ever catch you two fighting again, I'll kill you. And then one time he comes in and they are fighting, and like throws a chair across the room, and it's just bombastic nonsense. But it's great. It gives a great energy to most of the scenes. Again, this movie was very easy to get through, I would say, even though it was pretty long. How long was it? Let me scroll down here. 131 minutes. That's 2 hours and 10 minutes or so. So it's pretty fucking long. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, that was cool. Then I have America versus Korean ways of investigating. So I talked about how there's sort of a country versus city type thing with the two main like detectives, the one from the country and the one from the city, obviously. And at some point when they're at like a bar drinking, they sort of have an argument about how the country dude accuses him of basically being like the FBI, and like they need to use all these scientific methods because they have to investigate on such a large continent that is America, versus Korea, which is so fucking tiny. He's like belittling it, so we use our feet to investigate things, and his eye trick and stuff. And they have like a cute little back and forth type argument about that. This scene also reminds me in dialogue, because it is another thing where it feels a very modern-esque, you see it in a lot of movies nowadays, type ways of doing a scene. It's like on the tip of my brain, not of my tongue. It's an Asian dude, but he's speaking English in the scene. I can't fucking place it. Oh, don't you hate that? Uh-oh. What was I talking about? I got interrupted. The America stuff, and it was close to something, but I couldn't exactly place it. So, oh well. Is that the end of that point? Oh yeah, and this sort of ties in later when they have to send the semen sample they get to America, because Korea doesn't have like the infrastructure to like process the analysis or whatever. So yeah, that all tied in together and was saying something interesting, etc., etc. My last note here is that there are very pretty shots in the movie. There's of the field that the Soul dude is standing in for the rape victim that survived. That was very pretty. And obviously the train tunnel, it's another shot with him at the end of the movie where he's like, because basically the country dude is convinced every time they find a new suspect that this is absolutely the dude. And it's mostly just so they can like put their shit behind them and be like, yeah, we finally caught the killer now, we're so good. But then it sort of switched at the end when the Soul dude is very convinced that the sort of sociopathic kid is the killer, to the point where he starts to act completely irrational and completely violent like the other dude's been acting the whole movie. And it's like, oh, they switched and they're kind of similar, and they're both very prideful, and they both can't accept when they're wrong, because they get the semen sample back and it doesn't match, and it's like, well, it can't be this dude then. And he still wants to kill him afterwards, and he still tries to kill him afterwards. I guess he was enraged because this is after they find the schoolgirl raped and murdered, and he had a little bit of a relationship with her, which was cute. That girl was cute. So he was hopping mad, all right? But he wasn't the one who done did it, so that wasn't very nice. The characterization, I guess this is the last thing I can think of to talk about. The characterization of that third suspect was very good. Because sometimes, you know, when you catch somebody in something, or you're accusing somebody of something, can just be we're not talking about rape or murder here. We're just talking about who ate my fucking thing in the fridge. And you can always, I feel like I can always tell, just like the country bumpkin dude, by how they react to things. Um, and you can with most people. Like if they're just the general ways like a kid would try to lie to you, and they still haven't found out a better way to lie. Like especially if it's something small, like who ate the fucking thing in the fridge, and they start like giggling. Well, obviously it was them. Now that I would actually disprove that because I always giggle, even if I'm accused of something that I didn't do, and usually I didn't do it. But I'll still giggle because I think it'll funny, and then I'll think there's some meta irony funniness to the interaction for the fact that it makes it look like I did it, but I didn't do it. Because everything's meta to me, even personal interactions, and I think there's an audience there. I'm like an Italian woman, I'm performing constantly. I'm breaking the fourth wall, even though there's no fourth wall to break. This is real life. Anyway, what was I saying? Oh, so usually you can tell, or they start making a lot of excuses and just the way. How do I exemplify this? How would they do it? If they immediately try to shift the blame, or they come up with like 3 excuses too quickly and 1 and 2 kind of contradict each other, or etc. etc. There's just ways that people try to lie, and it's very see-through. But then there's always one. Oh, but if you actually weren't doing it, usually you can rattle off things very quickly that would disprove it very quickly of like, well, actually, no, I was doing this and therefore it couldn't have been me and etc. etc. And that usually indicates that they're telling the truth. And you're like, oh, and you can usually tell that pretty quickly too. But then you run into somebody who kind of just doesn't say anything. And you're like, if you were innocent, I feel like you would be seeing where these questions are leading up to and you would be ahead of them. And you would already have answers to them. And you'd be very proactive in advocating for your innocence. But they don't. And it's like, are you just unaware of the perception right now? Or are you unaware that the perception is everything right now and the fact of the matter really doesn't matter? So if you don't start defending yourself, we're just going to assume it was you, etc., etc. That's the demeanor this kid has. And it's, I don't know, it's so descriptively accurate in ways that was very impressive to me. And, I don't know. It's just always funny where you encounter somebody like that. Like, I know somebody like that. It's just like, it throws off your whole thing. It's like, man, people aren't all the same. It's like, man, you're like, is this method I use actually correct all the time? And it's like, I don't know. It was just a very accurate thing because he kind of just like, when the police come to get him, he kind of just stares at them. And you're like, oh, because he's a sicko and he's out of it, which is how the soul guy takes it. Which is kind of how they all take it. And then when he's like, there's a bunch of evidence points, like he is the one sending the postcard to the radio for them to play the song every time somebody gets killed. And when they start interrogating him about that, he just says yes. He's like, and you have soft hands, which was an evidence point they had. So yeah, I have soft hands. He's like, so you send the postcards every time it's raining on the killer dates. And he's like, yeah. And he's like, you're really depressed or something. And he's like, yeah. And it's like, shouldn't you know where this is all leading? And shouldn't you be like defensive on these points even? In order not to build up sort of a, like you have to know where they're going. It's kind of an aloofness. I don't know. It's just strange. And they captured that very perfectly. But yeah. What about the characterization of the other ones? I don't know. One of them had a sick wife and the other one was the disabled kid. Disabled kid, kind of Gollum-esque. Not in his appearance just because he has like a scar or a rash permanently on his face, but in the way he would speak. Return of the King came out in like 2003 or something. Probably both taken from the same older thing, huh? But yeah, anything else about this old movie? Is it true that like porn is illegal in South Korea or something? Or the creation of porn is illegal? Because I feel like I remember Twitch drama in like 2019. There was like a Twitch girl who accidentally streamed herself naked and she was getting like criminal charges or something. And obviously this was in North Korea because they wouldn't have Twitch there. And I was thinking about that because there's like sex scenes in the movie and I was like, do Korean people have to jerk off to like these sex scenes in movies? Like, and how does this technically pass whatever law they have against porn? It's just interesting. I guess I could just fucking tab over and look it up. Is porn illegal in South Korea. I probably should have looked up like South Korea porn laws. Pornography in South Korea is one of the few countries that explicitly prohibits any form of pornography. Pornography websites, books, writings, films, magazines, photographs, or any other materials of pornographic nature are illegal in South Korea. Ain't that fucking crazy? So yeah. Is she naked? No, you just see like the back shot, you know. I'm into that. But do you see her boobs front on in this? I'm not sure. Did you in Old Boy? You definitely did in Mr. Vengeance. Remember? She was the prettiest girl of all time. So yeah, it's interesting. I guess hard out there unless you have a VPN. They probably have workarounds like everything. Just go on Twitter. But yeah, so that was a thought. Their relationship was cute. It was cute when we flash forward and they were together. I wasn't sure if they were just like hookup buddies or if they were actually dating in the movie. He's over there a lot, but maybe they both lived together because I guess we never see him at a different place besides that. But anyway, that was cute. Movie 4 stars. You know, it wasn't that good. You know, whatever. Pretty lame. It wasn't what I wanted it to be. It wasn't what I expected it to be. Therefore, bad. That's my take on it, at least. Again, it's another one, and I feel like I've said this for all the recent movie nights, where it's just been like, I wonder what this will be like on a rewatch. Because with the proper expectations, etc., thinking about things from the correct lens, maybe we'll appreciate it more. But you know, you gotta wait like 3 years before you rewatch a movie. But yeah, that's been the case like the last 7 movie nights where I'm being like, unreconcile. Would this be better? Who knows? Anyway, I think this is where we could be leaving the last movie night for at least 3 months. Or I'll have an easy place to record when I am over, the vague place I'm going over to. And movie nights will continue. Maybe I'll have even more free time and less distractions, and movie nights will become a daily occurrence. Who knows? Probably not, though. So if we don't see each other for another movie night, I think this is episode, 17? Episode 17 will be where it lingers for a little while. But yeah, I guess that's it. We don't have one to look forward to next time because I'm not keeping expectations up. Because who knows what the future beholds. Isn't that exciting? Anywho, support links in the description below.